Hey, just a heads up, this is going to be even more manic than what I usually read here because I wrote this as a partially incomplete script, so bear with me. A visually infinite tunnel rises up and down inside a dark chamber, like a cut inside the solid interior of a mountain. The group of four stand at the intersection of this tunnel, running horizontal, as they peer out into the unseeable depths below them. Antoine, Centaur warrior, looks up the passage, trying to discern an exit somewhere above.
The walls are completely smooth. We can't climb this.
Jean says, "Well, we can't go back now, can we?" Antoine turns, clenches his fists aggressively. Antoine, "What do you mean by that, huh?" Jacques places a hand on his chin. "No, there must be a way to get up." Violane says, "The walls have turned to mud with the moisture." They reach a hand out to the wall outside the opening to the left and sinks an arm into the mud about half a foot. "It is thick enough. We can keep hold as we drag ourselves to the surface." Antoine, "Oh, this is going to ruin my hide."
Jean, quit bitching and climb. Jean, as an ethereal, spirals up the passage by riding up the air currents. Antoine looks annoyed. Antoine, "Oh, sure, and he just flies away. Your brother is a prick, Violane does not react and begins climbing through the mud. Antoine peers out to look up, then looks back to Jacques.
Antoine, "Here, hop on. It'll be faster if you hang on to me while I climb."
Jacques smiles. Jacques, how generous of you. Antoine, just jump up already. Jacques climbs onto Antoine and hangs around him by his shoulders. With some apprehension, Antoine plunges his arms and legs into the mud and begins ascending after Violane and Jean. A long diagonal shot of the four ascending at their own speeds plays out. They emerge on the surface of a hill at dusk, the tunnel exit/entrance surrounded by a stone wall. The four follow a trail of destruction left behind by either a large force or a very powerful, gigantic being. The buildings around them are collapsing, and the street is filled with craters in the pavement. Antoine checks a couple of wrecked hover carriages while wiping mud off himself, but doesn't find anyone alive. Jacques scales a ruined water tower, and Jean floats along with him to the top. Jean, damn, ... The site below them is the site of Arlington, Virginia, now waylaid with the damage of an attack. Off in the distance, over the Potomac River, a massive shadow is seen moving through the fog. Crashing and screaming is heard. The fog parts for a moment, and a massive creature, embodied as a hecatonchire, with 50 heads and 100 arms, takes a hold of the Washington Monument, snaps it off its base, and spear chucks it into the sky, the force of which dispels the fog around the DMV. The group of four stands stalwart against the powerful gust that sweeps over them. Cut to the monument, which partially burns up as it exits the atmosphere, moving at ridiculous speed. It collides with the moon, cracking its surface and causing damage visible enough to be seen from the Earth, as seen in the next shot. The shot after that, back on the lunar surface, the impact site reveals something made of flawless metal under the moon's crust, now exposed by the impact from the Washington Monument. Cut to Jacques and Jean, both wearing an expression of somber understanding as they stare at the moon. Jean, they've uncovered the outer shell. Grace was right. They know where it is. Antoine climbs a tower, Violane coming with him and jumping off to stand beside the rest as they watch the carnage. So much for the United States. Annexing half of Europe, now their homeland is falling apart because of their hubris. They've earned this fate. Jacques, but the rest of humanity hasn't. I'm doing it. Antoine and Jean react with visible shock, while Violane turns to face Jacques, surprised but non-expressive. Antoine, whoa, hang on, just because they're falling apart doesn't mean they aren't still here. Jean, they'll kill you, Jacques. Jacques, I can't just stand here and let a city be destroyed while I have the power to stop it. Violane, you're sure, Jacques? Jacques, if the feds hate me for it, I'm sure the people won't. Violane gives Jacques a shoulder hug. They step away with a nod. Antoine, Hey, floaty boy, go find whoever's commanding what's left of the armed forces in that mess. Jean nods, and then Jean says, Sure. Viol, can you go check the bridges into the capital? Violane, if they need to be buttressed, I'll take care of it. Jean turns to Antoine, and you, Jacques. He's backing me up, keeping the path I make clear. Antoine boisterously nods. Jean, all right, break! Jean spirals off into the sky. Violane runs off down the hill. Jacques slides down the hill, and Antoine watches him go. Halfway down the hill, Jacques bursts into a bolt of gray lightning that sprawls across the sky like a spider web. From the after images of this flash, he reemerges as a minimalist, flaming phoenix of white energy, who swoops to the ground and allows Antoine to hop on his back. The duo flies over the Potomac River towards the Hecatonchery, which turns to face the approaching heroes. The monster roars, and as it roars, the vocalization takes on the rhythm of the Star-Spangled Banner. The eyes on all the heads flash red, white, and blue as it does so.
Okay, some end commentary. I realized that reading that made me sound like an insane person. I got really into this for some reason, and I got extra weird with it. Any of you who are into 100-year-old French literature probably recognize that those names are taken from a work by J.H. Rosny-Ein called The Navigators of Infinity that I particularly like. I just decided to roll with whatever came to me in this moment. This was probably the most wild deviation I could have possibly taken with this prompt, but it's what it is. Okay.